in Freemasonry. And what the principle says is that let us unite in that which we agree, and let us overlook each other in that which we disagree. Right? Let us unite in that which we agree, and let us overlook each other in that which we disagree. Right? This is a principle that these types of political groups use in order to gather everybody together under one umbrella. Why? Because they need the numbers in order to help them to get into political power. So they do not care whether you are a Jahmi, a Mu'tazili, a Rafidi, a Sufi, whatever you might be, no matter what doctrine you're upon, right? They will say to you, the most basic thing that we agree upon is the statement La ilaha illallah. So whoever says La ilaha illallah, we can all agree upon that one thing. And as for all of our differences, the things that we differ about, whatever, we can ignore them. Let's overlook, let's pardon. You believe Allah has no attributes, let's overlook that. You believe that all the companions became apostates and left Islam, let's overlook that. Right? All the differences we have, ignore all the differences. We all say one thing, La ilaha illallah. Let's unite on that one word, not its meaning, just on the word, on the utterance of the word. And this is what this principle means, right? Which is the principle of the Muslim Brotherhood. Let us cooperate and come together in that which we agree, and let us pardon each other from that which we, in that which we disagree. And as the Muslim scholars have explained, this principle in its origin, it goes back to Freemasonry, because in Freemasonry, you can be of any creed, you can be of any background, any doctrine, any religion, but you can come under the umbrella of Freemasonry, right? And Freemasonry is just simply a cover and a veil for the worship of Iblis. That's all it is, the different hierarchies and levels, and that's all it is. And so, in the 20th century is when we saw these so-called Muslim jama'at appear, jama'at of da'wah, and so they took the meaning of the word jama'ah from its true meaning and they altered it into something else, right? So the word jama'ah, Islamically speaking, as Ibn Mas'ud said, al-jama'atu ma wafaqa al-haq wa in kunta wahdak. The jama'ah is whatever agrees with the truth. Is whatever agrees with the truth. Even if you are one person, this is the meaning of jama'ah. Jama'ah means people who are upon what the messenger brought in terms of creed, in terms of belief, in terms of methodology, right? This is the jama'ah, and who is united behind a leadership or a rulership, the Muslim rulership or leadership, right? And they hear and obey the ruler. So if all of that is together, that is the jama'ah. And even if you are one person who is upon the truth that the messenger and his companions were upon, you are the jama'ah, right? So this is the correct meaning of the word jama'ah, right? In the 20th century, what these groups did is they took the word jama'ah and they turned it to mean a political party, a political group, right? And they gave the head of that party the same rights that Allah has given to a Muslim ruler, right? So a Muslim ruler has like the Pledge of Allegiance, and we hear and obey in whatever is not disobedience to Allah, right? So they took these qualities that Allah gave to the Muslim ruler, and then they conferred it to each individual, leader of these various groups and parties. And so now you become loyal to the party, you become loyal to the group, right? So this is what happened in the 20th century. And to this end, they've altered the meaning of La ilaha illallah, the meaning of Tawheed, and This is, particularly among the Muslim Brotherhood, and Hizb ut-Tahrir is another offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. And then you have the more extreme, Al-Qaaidah and the extremist types of groups that then come after that. So the Shaykh, after elaborating some more upon the founder of this group, Hassan al-Banna, he was an individual that he would go to, in his party, he would have Christians. He would have three Christians in his majlis, right, in his committee. This is his meaning of, let us come together in that which we agree, and let us pardon each other in that which we disagree, right? So to a Christian it would be, well, you're a Christian, you believe in a God, we believe in a God, let's agree upon that. And as for everything else, you say Jesus is the Son of God, okay, we can accommodate each other on this. Right? This is the implementation of this principle. And likewise to the Rafidi, you say La ilaha illallah, we say La ilaha illallah. This is all there is to Islam, the common denominator. And as for everything else, where you say, Ali should have been the recipient of revelation and the companions became disbelievers, we can agree to disagree and we can accommodate all of this. This is the implementation of this principle. This is an evil, filthy, vile principle. This principle, if you think about it, many centuries back, we would know a group or a sect by way of the specific doctrine, right? So for example, in the time of the Salaf, they're the Jahmiyyah, right? This is Jahm bin Safwan and his followers, they're the Jahmiyyah. They're the Mu'tazila, that's, Wasil bin Atta and Amr bin Ubaid, who are the heads of the Mu'tazila, that's them, they're the Mu'tazila, right? So we know individuals by way of the creed that they are upon. Very, very simple. Jahmiyyah, Mu'tazila, Hishamiyya, Kullabiyya, Karramiyya, very simple. However, in the modern era, in the 20th century, things have become very, very, very confusing. Why? Because we are in the era of where the Jama'at have appeared, right? And the Jama'ah takes a name or a label. So, anyone can come along and say, we are Jama'atul Da'wah, or we are ikhwanul muslimeen, or we are Jama'atul Tabligh, or we are, whatever name you want to think of. And so you no longer see the actual individual creeds, all you see is a group. But that group will have within it all of those individual innovations and doctrines in which an average Muslim, a common Muslim, he won't know any better. As a group comes along and he says, we are Jama'atul Da'wah, wal Islah, wal this, wal that, whatever. And they, claiming to be calling to Allah, and a person won't be any the wiser. What are these people upon? What doctrines are they upon? Who are they following? Right? And so all of this has compounded, made it more difficult for us to see what people are upon. However, for the person of the Sunnah, the person who is a person of Tawheed, person of Sunnah, person who follows the way of the Salaf, it's very, very easy for him to see who's who and what's what. Because we know by virtue of the creed that we learn and the understanding of the Salaf in all of these topics, what's the way of the Salaf? In the issue of Allah's Tawheed, in His names, in His attributes, in the issue of Al-Qadr, in the issue of Al-Iman, in the issue of how do we treat the companions, how do we treat and behave with the rulers, because we know all these things, we can immediately see and recognize a person, what he's upon, from his speech, from his statement, from his behavior, from his da'wah, from the way that he's calling the people. Is he really rectifying the people? Is he really calling to the Tawheed of the messengers? So, this is something that we should be aware of. So anyhow, the Shaykh speaks a bit more about the two groups, that Al-Ikhwanul Muslimeen, they came from Egypt, and Jama'atul Tabligh, they came from India. And these people, what they do, they have a system of recruitment whereby you join their groups and their ranks, and they'll monitor you and watch you for many, many years. And if you show potential, and if you show aptitude and potential, then they will, draw you through the ranks, and then you will become a prominent person, and then you'll continue their work for them. And this is how these groups work. They have pledge of allegiance, they have loyalty, and they also have secrecy. There's no secrecy in Islam. Islam is very open and very apparent. So anyhow, the Sheikh closes on this note, and he says that all of these groups you see, they are founded by individuals. You'll trace it back to an individual. This is true historically, it is true today, right? The Qadariyya. Who were the Qadariyya? Who were people? We can trace them back to individuals, Al-Ma'bad al-Juhani, and people like that. And likewise the Mu'tazila and the Jahmiyya, Al-Ja'd bin Dirham, Jahm bin Safwan, right? Karramiyya, all of these people. And today likewise, there are individuals who are the founders, Muhammad Ilyas, Hassan al-Banna, Sayyid Qutb, Taqiyuddin al-Nabhani, right? All of them, they have movements and groups set up behind them. Whereas the people who follow the way of the Messenger and the way of the Salaf, there is no founder. There is no founder. Why? Because it is the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. We are following the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they do not have an individual where they trace their beliefs or no, because this is revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal. And so this is the way of the people who follow the way of the Salaf. It is the deen from Allah Azza wa Jal, and He sent His messenger with it, and He revealed His books by way of it. And those who are the followers of the prophets and messengers, they are the du'at and the mujaddideen, they are the callers, and they are the true revivers of the religion. So this is the end of what the Shaykh Hafidhahullah Ta'ala has mentioned on this topic. And what time is Maghrib? 11 past. Okay, we have still 20 minutes or so. So this is what the Shaykh finished upon, and it's a very, very important topic. It's to do with Muslim unity. It's to do with the methodology of calling to Allah. How do we rectify the society? How do we rectify the ummah? How do we bring the hearts together? And in fact, I wanted to give, this methodology that we spoke of is what the Messenger of Allah himself was ordered to say in the Quran. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Say, Allah ordered the messenger to say, this is my path. This is at the end of Surah Yusuf. I think it's verse 106. Say, this is my way. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. I call to Allah عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ, upon insight and knowledge. I and whoever follows me. I and whoever follows me. Right? And likewise, Allah Azza wa Jal, He also said in Surah Ali Imran, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا. Hold on to the rope of Allah, all of you together. Hold on to the rope of Allah, all of you together. وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. And do not split, do not be divided. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءً فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. And remember the favor of Allah upon you when you were enemies, and then He softened and united your hearts. He brought your hearts together, and you became, by way of Allah's favor and bounty, brethren. Right? So in all of these verses, you can see the methodology of the prophets in calling the people to Allah, in rectifying the servant, in rectifying the land, and in calling to the true unity, the genuine unity. Because there's lots of speech today, these days, people speaking about unity and Muslim unity, and there's a difference between the true unity and a superficial, fake, shallow unity. Right? I'm going to give you, I was meant to give you an example. In fact, this actually will help to tie together some of the things that I mentioned. So I brought with me today a rope. You can see a rope here, right? And this is an intact rope. You've got different strands, and you can see it's sealed at the end. It won't come undone, right? And so this rope, when it's intact and you hold onto the rope, then you have a strong handhold, right? Right. So this is what we've been commanded to do. Hold on to the rope of Allah, right? So we first of all know what the rope is, and we call people to hold on to this rope, right? This is true unity. It's unity that brings unity of the hearts, that then leads to the unity of the bodies, right? It's unity of the hearts first, then the unity of the bodies follows afterwards. That's how it is. That's that's the meaning of the verse. As Allah mentioned in that verse, that the companions were divided, they were all split. Allah brought their hearts together. Upon what? Upon Tawheed, upon the correct creed. And then they became brethren. Then there was the unity of the bodies. Right, okay. So this is the intact Islam. This is the Islam intact. There's no phrase, there's no splitting, there's nothing. It's just not gonna split. You see? So when you hold on to that, you are holding on to all of Islam. However, when there occurred in the Muslim nation, what occurred in the Muslim nation, first of all, the Khawarij appeared. Then the Rafida, Shia. Then the Qadariyya. Then the Murji'ah. Then the Jahmiyyah. Then the Mu'tazila, then the Rafidi Hishamiyya, then the Batini movements appeared, and then the Kullabiyya, and then the Karramiyya, and then the Ash'ariyya, and then the Maturidiyya, and then the Salimiyya, so on and so on and so forth, whatever. So what's really happening here is, so the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal, well, you have this strand like this now, and then you have this strand here, then you have this strand here like this. Then these strands, they split amongst themselves. So you have the Ahlul Kalam. You have the Jahmi here, disputing with the Mu'tazili here, disputing with the Kullabi here, disputing with the Ash'ari here, right? And so we have all of these strands. As you go through the century, you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry with a doctrine, with a creed, with a movement, with all based upon a deviation in creed and methodology, right? So this is what you have. Every one person holding on to this strand here, he takes something of the truth and splits it from the truth, and then gives it a different interpretation. He turns it into an issue of creed, and then he calls people around it, and now we got someone holding on to this, and we've got another one holding on to this, and another holding on to this. Right? Is this the rope of Allah? We've been commanded to hold this thing here? Yes? No. Right. So when someone comes along and he says, you stick to that thing, you stick to that thing, and you stick to that thing, and you stick to that thing, is this the unity that Allah and His Messenger called to in the Quran and the Sunnah? Is this a unity? Is this the unity we've been commanded with? Yes or no? It can't be, can it? Right? That's why the true unity is only when we first agree that this is the actual intact rope. This is the nature of the intact rope, right? So this person here has to abandon his false creed, right? So this is why it is impossible for there to be unity except upon the way of the Salaf, right? Except upon knowledge by which we know what is Tawheed and Sunnah from what is Shirk and Bid'ah, right? We have